Hello, everyone. My name is Paul Beyer. I'm with GAI Insights, and welcome to our daily news briefing, where we bring you news that is important to you as an AI leader or investor. I'm pitching in for Dave DeLallo today, and excited that you are here. It's been a huge week of news, and this day looks a little optional, but we'll see how the analysts took off. Akash, please kick us off at the first one.
Sure, Paul. So the first one that we have for today is from OpenAI. So OpenAI's chief scientist Ilya is officially leaving OpenAI, and a few other members of the AI safety team has also left.
I think who
Oh,
Adam.
that was me, Paul.
Adam, you're the lead. Yeah.
Look, this may end up being fairly important news at the moment. I think there's speculation about what this signifies, and I would probably still consider it optional. It may say some things about the future direction of OpenAI and who they're putting into what new positions, particularly around super alignment and the directions they're going. Some of the speculation is around what did Ilya see. This is all related back to the failed coup over a wild weekend a little while back, where Sam was gone and then so quickly came back. But I'm not really sure at this point it's much more than hype. So I'm hesitant to rate it higher than optional.
I would rate it important, not because of the speculations, and you're right, nobody knows what actually this signifies, but every time a chief lead leaves, it leaves a very uncertain situation in the company. Despite he might have a really good team, but under the new leader, it will certainly take different direction, and there will be time of uncertainty and a period when the company will be not quite doing the things that they were planned on doing. So I think it is important that for OpenAI, for Microsoft, that this is happening, and there will be a period that should be expected that OpenAI might go silent a little bit.
Yeah, it's interesting, Adam. I was actually with Luda, maybe even Essential. I mean, I think to me this is really the strategy. First of all, I think it is embarrassing to have such JV leadership in such a major company supporting in production things within 6 months. So I think that's the first point. Second thing, I think it shows a finalization of the strategy change. That Sam was kicked off because he was commercial, and the safety team won, and they brought Sam back, and Five months later, Iliad's out, who is a super senior person on the most exciting company in the world, and he took a safety team. So I think it shows that they are 100% commercial inside their nonprofit. Two, that they continue to. We should watch their leadership, and hopefully there's not another leadership change in the next 6 months. Or I, as an AI leader, can continue to wonder, what is really going on in the shop over there.
Yeah.
So Amanda,
you make a good case. I'm just trying to imagine, as an AI leader, what do I do with this information? Like,
go with open source.
OpenAI is so far ahead of everyone else that if you're embedding them into your systems, this isn't going to make any difference in terms of your strategy or your decision making. That was why I felt like it was more noise than signal.
No, it might for the long term. You might want to, if you're single-threaded on OpenAI, you would want to say, let's make sure that longer term we will have other options.
Yeah, I mean, look, if I were a pharmaceutical company thinking about what our 3-year LLM strategy is, and I've got another model that's close, this comes into conversation. Now, if they're not even close, maybe not, but boy, it's still non-trivial to switch out models, and this. Yeah. Anyway, so sounds like important. Can people support important?
Yeah.
Great. So important it is. And next article.
The next one is from NASDAQ. So NASDAQ is using GenAI for increasing market surveillance.
Yeah, this is mine. So in my mind, this is optional, even though I applaud NASDAQ. They have been deploying AI across the various functions on the security and and surveillance of the market to make sure that it's equitable and the like. And they've just used GenAI in several ways to do a better surveillance. So I applaud them very much, but for our audience, I think this is optional. Unless we want to, again, in Tim's lingo, back pocket article when a major entity, NASDAQ, is using GenAI in a very meaningful way. So if you want to keep it in your back pocket to support your case, this is maybe important.
Well, Luda, if we're going to bust on someone, we got to really bust him if he's not here. So is it upper back?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Upper or lower back pocket?
I think upper. I don't know.
Sounds like optional. Amanda, do you have strong feelings, or Adam?
I also say optional because it's a nice use case. So if you're just looking to get some further use cases and you're in the financial industry, things like that, it might be relevant for you. But again, I think these start becoming, we're seeing similar activities going on within similar companies and similar industries. So it doesn't jump out at me.
All right, optional. Next one, please. I think I've got the lead on this one for John.
So the next one is from BCV, and it talks about how GenAI will be transforming the physical world going forward.
Yeah, I didn't see much in here. I rated this as optional. I mean, I think it's everyone's talking about change everywhere, so AI is going to change things. I don't think is a meaningful contribution. Anyone else have a?
I would go important. Remember the robotics side that we've been talking about going essentially in 24, 25, becoming a major force. Making a change in the physical world, it's actually when GenAI gets there or AI gets there, and this article mentions the software specifically transforming the physical world with AI included. I think we will see major advancements in the world around us. So I think it touches a lot of verticals. So I would go for important. And Ankash, if you go, there is a table down there of all the investments or the, not here.
Yeah.
The verticals and investments, you will, it's a very interesting table to stare at, right? So some of them are more populated in the top, some of them are more populated in the bottom, some of them are just open. So it's interesting to know that this is happening and the wave is coming. And I think for most of the leaders who are in software and they have more than one platform, I think this is important to know.
And Luda, do you read this as Bain Capital just commercializing their investments to get hype up, or do you sense that they're savvy enough that this really represents real market opportunity and we should watch it?
I think we should watch it. They certainly, this is the article that takes some of the investments and showcases them. So it's certainly a marketing piece, but behind it, there is certainly a trend. It's too early to see major impact. We haven't really seen the major impact from this activity, but it's difficult. It takes a year or two to actually make it. But the fact that it's happening and happening in major way, I think this is important.
Great. So AI touches everything. Amanda, so can you support important?
I'm on the other camp you were speaking of, Paul. I think they just want to put out there investments and things like that. So I'm like purely optional, but Luda, you did make really good points as per usual. You always do. So you're very convincing, but I think it's a battle. Somebody come down the middle here. Paul, Adam.
Adam, strong feelings?
I was right on the fence. Honestly, it just seemed a little too broad without too many specific insights. Really, there was no, if people aren't aware of what's going on in industrials, it's probably a good overview I think it's pretty information dense. I'm trying to help make Luda's case because I'm on the fence and I'm trying to tip it one way or another. Yeah, I mean, I could support important. It does. It could affect like strategic planning for the longer term, in terms of what people are doing and their investment decisions. But it felt a little too much like Bain, just sort of showing. Almost, I hesitate to say an infomercial, but really just speaking very broadly about the industry versus getting into something that's really like
yeah, I think it's a Bain associate taking a slide and writing an article about it. But let's steal from Tim and call a compromise. I'll take the chalk. Luda will call important, but lower pocket of important.
Okay.
All right, next article, Ankaj, please.
So the next article talks about how the recent formation of AI Safety and Security Board by Department of Homeland Security left out the small startups, or what the author is saying, little tech, out of the key decision making around GenAI or AI regulations.
Yeah, so I'll jump in on this one. So what I would say about this one is, if you're an AI leader, most likely you've heard this time and time again, that, we need to get some regs out there, that the smaller companies are not being involved. From that letter, I forget when that was, how many months ago, when everybody signed this open letter about stopping innovation, this whole 9 yards. So I don't see much new here. And then there's this AI Safety and Security Board coming out. So I'm on the optional camp on this one, but not sure if there's something that just pulled out for somebody else that they just want to put it important or essential. I'm open to listen.
I'm trying to figure out what the news is. Then they're announcing a formation of a meeting, a board.
No, there's no news. I think this is an article to say, hey, watch out. This committee is all big tech, not little tech. And if we don't do something, the little tech will be crowded out.
Wow.
Yeah, I think less news, Paul. It's more of a commentary piece on the news from late last month.
You guys are. I'm way more cynical. I think at Luda, it's big tech getting together to make sure the rules favor big tech, and we're helping little tech by not having them come to the dangerous game of AI. Anyway, so Luda, you've got it as important or optional?
I was thinking optional, this particular piece, but we should look for articles. Apparently, that committee decided not to do anything. So they punted, and they punted it down to, so that's what I heard yesterday in one of the news I read. So they punted it down into subcommittees, which is actually interesting because that will allow open innovation and whatnot to go. So I think we should look for an article that does better overview of what's happening and what that particular AI committee did or didn't do. So I would go optional on this one.
Great. Yeah, Ankaj, did you have a view on this one?
Yep. Paul, it's more of an opinion piece, and I think the author has a point that little tech shouldn't be left out of these kind of regulatory stuff, because big tech, with their billions of dollars, is already lobbying for a lot of things which are not in favor of the small guy. So
Great.
I think it might be optional for a executive reading, but a good point to raise.
Great. Optional it is. I want to say hello to Harvey and Ashish and Julie. Welcome, everyone. I know there's a few others out there as well. Next article, please. Ankaj.
Yes. So the next one is from Hugging Face. So Hugging Face is sharing $10 million worth of compute to help beat the big AI company.
Nice segue from the last article.
Yeah. Is that yours?
Yeah, I was taking lead on this. Look, I feel this is optional news. It's a nice gesture. One thing I question is how far is $10 million really going to go? When you think about the cost of the compute plus the cost of the power, and the maintenance and everything on top of that. It is very cool. The way they're doing it is they're splitting up the use of these GPUs. So when someone isn't using them, they're available for others. So it's a very efficient way to share the compute that's available. But I think it's not going to go very far, and there's other ways around it. The argument they kind of make in there is that it's really hard for smaller developers and open source to get access to GPUs from the main cloud providers, but it's a financial thing. Yeah. Right. I mean, yeah, it's hard to buy GPUs from NVIDIA, but if you want to just pay Amazon, you want to pay Microsoft Azure, you can absolutely get access to the compute you need in the cloud. So it's in some ways, probably more than anything, probably trying to attract more people to Hugging Face. But Adam, I hesitate to see how far this is really going to take them.
Adam, that's all I had. I mean, they raised $400 million. It is so hard to get press right now for your company. Here's a good PR angle. And if this doesn't come out of the marketing budget, I'll be shocked, because it's certainly not going to move the market. And it's not sustainable. I mean, I can't imagine their board wants them to keep. Now, that was really successful, 10 million. We've got a waiting list. Now we just need to spend 20 million. It's silly. Optional. Anyone disagree with optional? All right, next.
No.
So the next one is from Intel. So Intel has launched Aora Supercomputer, and it is the fastest supercomputer for AI.
Yeah, so jumping in on this one, there's some information in it, but I think right at the beginning where it says Intel announced a collaboration and it's the fastest AI system in the world, you kind of lost me there when you lead off with something very markety. So I think, it's optional for me. If somebody wants to kind of dig in there, it mentions about, using it for drug discovery and goes into some of the components of it, the supercomputer. But for me, again, I really think it's Intel just kind of putting out marketing spin on some things here. So for me, this is optional.
Yeah, I agree with optional, but the note is they reached a certain milestone in compute power with this one, and also used it at the national lab for certain discoveries that couldn't have been made without it. So I think for us, like a society, this is important news. For AI leaders, they're not going to do anything with it except to know that there's more coming. So that power is coming. And so that's, in that sense, important. But I mean, I'm on the border, optional, important.
I don't know. I mean, NVIDIA is in every conversation. Intel feels like in no conversation. I think the question is, is this what was that commercial? Not your father's Buick. So is this not your father's Intel? And I think they're trying to get in the conversation.
Paul, they had to use 166 racks and 10,600 computer blades to build the most powerful computer. Like, yeah, if you throw enough machinery at the thing, of course it's going to be the biggest one out there.
And did they, Adam, I didn't read the whole article. Did it say how much better it was from the previous benchmark? Is it 0.002% better?
No, it didn't. It just said it reached that and surpassed this.
All right. It sounds like deep back pocket for optional. Was that the last one?
Yeah.
Great. So we have a summary slide, and then we'll talk about Learning Lab, which I got to figure out what it is. Great. So a lot of actually too important today. So we had quite a week of news. If we go back to Monday and Tuesday, we had the breathtaking deluge of news from OpenAI, followed by Google on Tuesday, and we finish up with some more interesting things. So another really interesting week. We continue to live in an interesting world. We've got Apple, some news coming up here in a few weeks. Monday's Learning Lab, or at 7 p.m., is going to be Altus, which is a no-code large language model, no code or low code. Feel free to stop on that. It's great. The other thing is we're trying to get a little better with our social things. So if you do watch this and value what we're doing, please go to YouTube and like and subscribe. That helps us get the word out. Have a great weekend, everyone.